Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that so many of us struggle with, trying to cut back on spending and just feeling, well, miserable. We're going to talk about a much smarter way to think about your money, one that's about making intelligent choices, not just painful sacrifices. So let's start with this question because it probably hits close to home for a lot of you, right? You get a raise, your income goes up, but that feeling of being squeezed for cash just never seems to go away. What is going on here? And look, this isn't just in your head. The numbers are pretty shocking. 63% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And get this, that includes almost half of the people earning over $200,000 a year. That tells you something really important. This isn't just an income problem, it's a spending problem. So what do we usually do? We try to go on a strict financial diet. We make a super detailed budget, we try to cut back on everything, and it almost never works. In fact, these kinds of financial diets have a jaw-dropping 95% failure rate. And the reason is simple. They're based on willpower and deprivation, and you can only deny yourself for so long before you snap. It's just not a sustainable strategy. Okay, so if depriving ourselves is a dead end, what's the alternative? Well, it all starts with a major shift in how we think about this stuff. So in Section 1, we're talking about moving from deprivation to optimization. Let's just look at these two side by side. On the left, you have the deprivation mindset. It's a total doom loop, right? It's all about restriction, feeling guilty when you slip up, try to force it with willpower, and ultimately failing. But on the right, you have optimization. This is all about feeling empowered. It's about being intentional with your money, focusing on what you actually value, and building smart systems that just work without all that struggle. And this right here is the key. This one single change in the question you ask yourself changes everything. You stop thinking about what you're losing, and you start focusing on how you can be more efficient, how you can get more value. It turns this whole process from a punishment into a really smart strategy. All right, so that's the mindset. Let's get practical. How do we actually do this? In Section 2, we are opening up the financial toolkit, and there's show you some frameworks you can start using literally today. First tool up, value per dollar, or VPD. This is just a simple formula to give you some real clarity on your spending. All you do is take the value you get from something, and value can be anything, right? Hours of fun, how useful it is, pure enjoyment, and you divide it by how much it cost. This little ratio gives you a clear, objective look at what's actually worth your money. And this is where that VPD idea really comes alive. I mean, just look at the difference here. A library card is basically infinite value per dollar. Your home coffee machine, maybe 50 cents a cup. Incredible value. Now compare that to premium cable at $12 for every hour you watch, or that daily $5 coffee. The numbers don't lie. Some things we buy give us way more bang for a buck. Okay, next up is the substitution strategy, and this one is so clever. Instead of just cutting out something you love, the idea is to find an alternative that gives you, say, 80% of the enjoyment for just 20% of a cost. You're not getting rid of the joy, you're just engineering a much smarter way to get it. And here's a perfect example of that in action. Instead of paying for 5 streaming services all year, just rotate through them. Instead of a huge arena show, check out a cool local band. Do stuff like this, and you could easily save over $1,000 a year. That's real money you can put toward your big goals, and you're not missing out on your fun. Now here's another tool, and it's so simple, it's brilliant. It's called the 72-hour rule. For any non-essential purchase, you just wait 3 days. You put some friction, some space between the impulse to buy and actually buying, and you know what? It's incredibly effective. Studies show that about 60% of those impulse buys just never happen. That urgent feeling you had, it just evaporates. So, now we have these awesome tools. Let's talk about where to point them to get the biggest results. That brings us to Section 3, focusing on the big 3. So it turns out that for most of us, just 3 things, housing, transportation, and food are eating up about 2/3 of our entire budget. This is the 80-20 rule in real life. A small, smart tweak in one of these areas is worth way more than stuffing about dozens of tiny expenses. Let's start with transportation, which is often this giant hidden money pit. When you add up the car payment, the insurance, gas, maintenance, and especially depreciation, the true cost to own a new car is about $13,000 a year. That's a huge number. Now, the good news is you have options. The answer isn't never own a car again. It's just about being smart. The single biggest move is buying a reliable used car instead of a new one. Or maybe your family can go from 2 cars down to 1. Or if you live in the right place, maybe you can go car free. And here's the crucial takeaway. That one decision, just buying used instead of new, can save you $8,500 a year. Think about that. That single choice saves you more than a decade of skipping lattes. This is where you should focus your energy. Okay, next out, the biggest one of all for most people, housing. But again, the solutions don't have to be extreme. It's about strategic trade-offs. Living just 10 minutes further from downtown, or doing what they call house hacking, renting out a spare room. These little moves can flash your biggest monthly bill. And for all you renters out there, listen up. The impact here is huge. Choosing an apartment that's a few blocks further from the train or one without an in-unit washer and dryer, those small compromises can easily put $4,000, $5,000, even $9,000 back into your bank account every single year. It's a massive win for a pretty minor change in your daily life. So why are we doing all of this? I mean, what's the point? It's not just about having a bit more cash left over each month. In this last section, we're going to see how all these smart savings become the actual fuel for building real financial freedom. This right here is where it all comes together. When you take all that money you've optimized from your car, your rent, or subscriptions, and you invest it consistently, the magic of compound growth takes over. Look at this. In just 5 years, you could have over $100,000. In 10 years, over $300,000. And by year 20, you're a millionaire. This is how you build actual life-changing wealth. And this is the profound psychological shift that happens. You stop operating from the place of scarcity, where you feel like you can't have things. Instead, you start making empowered choices. You're no longer saying, I can't afford that. You're saying, I am choosing to use this money to buy myself a better future. You're in the driver's seat. And you can start this whole process right now, today. These 3 things are the easiest first steps. Go through your subscriptions this week. Try the Send Me 2-hour rule for just 1 month. Set up an automatic transfer for 10% of your paycheck into savings. These are high-impact moves that take almost no effort and can immediately save you thousands a year. Because ultimately, every single dollar you spend is a vote for the life you want. This isn't about being cheap. It's about being the architect of your own life. It's about taking spending from a mindless, automatic habit and turning it into the powerful, deliberate craft of building the future you really, truly want. So the only question left is, what kind of future are you going to build?